The sky burned red as something huge tore through the clouds. At first, people thought it was a meteor shower. They gathered outside with phones and cameras, smiling and pointing. But then the ground shook. Buildings trembled, windows shattered, and one of the fireballs hit the ground and stood up. It wasn't a meteor, it was alive. The creature stood over 50 feet tall. Its skin was like metal, but it moved like a beast. 4 legs, a tail that smashed buildings in seconds, glowing eyes that scanned the city like it was looking for something to kill. Then it roared. People dropped to their knees. The sound wasn't just loud, it was inside their heads. Some fainted, some screamed, others just ran. And that was just the first one. Within minutes, more fireballs fell across the planet. One hit Moscow, another in New York. A third crushed half of Cairo. No warning. No message. Just monsters. The news called them war beasts. No one knew who sent them. Satellites caught a glimpse of something above the clouds. A ship, maybe. But it was too fast, too high. The world fought back. Jets scrambled. Missiles launched. Tanks rolled into burning streets. But nothing worked. The war beasts didn't bleed. They didn't slow down. They tore through metal like paper. One opened its chest, and hundreds of spider-like machines poured out, crawling over. Everything, burning and melting whatever they touched. In a matter of days, Earth lost control. Governments collapsed. Armies fell silent. People hid. Cities became tombs. The war beasts didn't speak, didn't stop. They weren't here to take over. They were here to erase. But in the ruins, in the shadows, some humans survived. They moved underground. Old bunkers, secret tunnels, subway systems, and in one place, far from any city, deep in the ice of Antarctica, a light turned green on a dusty control panel. Inside that forgotten base, 3 old men and 1 young woman stood in silence. They had all worked on a program the world had buried decades ago. A program so secret, it was erased from every system. It was called Project Blacktooth. The woman stepped forward. Her name was Sarah Lean, military scientist. She had lost her brother in the first attack. She wasn't here for orders. She was here for revenge. She looked through the thick glass window into the dark chamber below. Something moved. Something big, caged, shackled, breathing slow and heavy. It had once been human. Maybe. Now it was something else. "You want to stop those things?" one of the old men said. "Then wake him up." Sarah nodded. They had. Captured it in 1963. Not alien, not machine. A human transformed by experiments no one was supposed to talk about. A weapon with skin tougher than steel and instincts sharp enough to hunt in pitch darkness. He had killed everyone else in the program, except for the man who figured out how to make him sleep. Now they had no choice. The lights in the chamber flickered, gas hissed, the cage door opened, and he stepped out. He was tall, not as huge as the beasts, but his eyes. They were colder. He looked around, smelled the air. Then he turned to Sarah. "You woke me," he said. "Yes," she replied. "Earth is being attacked." He didn't blink. "How many?" "Too many." He cracked his neck. "Good." She stared at him. "Do you remember your name?" He smiled. "They called me Ashen." Far above them, one of the war beasts turned its head sharply. It stopped moving. Its eyes glowed brighter, as if it had felt something familiar, something worse than it. The beast began to move faster. Sarah looked at the monitors. "They're coming!" Ashen didn't look worried. He looked excited. He walked toward the exit tunnel, his voice calm, almost amused. "They sent beasts," he said. "Let's show them what we've tamed." The screen went black. The first hunt had begun. The alien war beasts tore through Earth's defenses like paper. Cities fell, tanks melted, no missile could stop them. One by one, the human armies were crushed. The people of Earth were afraid, but not surprised. They had known this day might come. In a secret base buried under the Rocky Mountains, alarms blared red. Scientists ran between control panels. Soldiers stood guard, eyes cold, faces tense. In the center of the room was a chamber, sealed tight, thick metal walls, chains made from carbon mesh. The air hummed with power. Inside, something moved. General Reese stood with his hands behind his back. Beside him, Sarah Lean, head of the Human Defense Research Unit, watched the screen. "It's time," Reese said quietly. Sarah nodded. "But once we open it, we can't close it again." "I know." They both looked at the chamber. Inside, it was a man. Or at least he had once been a man. Now he was something else, faster than any machine, stronger than any beast, built from science and pain. A weapon Earth had locked away, because even they were afraid of him. They had three like him, codenamed Subject 1, Subject 2, Subject 3. Now, Earth needed them all. Sarah pressed the unlock code, the chains dropped. The metal doors slid open, a deep rumble came from the dark. Subject 1 stepped forward. His eyes glowed blue. He didn't speak. He didn't blink. Subject 2 came next. She smiled, a slow, dangerous smile. Her fingers sparked with electricity. And last, Subject 3. He moved differently, like a shadow, quiet. But even the walls seemed to flinch when he walked. "Bye, your targets," General Reese said, "are the alien beasts attacking our world. They think they're unstoppable." Subject 3 looked at him. "Then they've never met us." The three subjects were launched from high-altitude jets, dropped straight into battle. The first beast, 20 meters tall, 4 arms, glowing. Eyes, crushed a tank under its foot. Then Subject 1 hit it like a missile. The beast staggered back, confused. It swung fast, but Subject 1 was faster. He moved like lightning, dodging, punching, breaking bone. Subject 2 dropped into a ruined city. She raised her hand, and lightning followed. The air exploded. The second beast screamed. Its skin burned. It tried to run. It didn't get far, but the biggest threat was still in the north. The third beast, the Titan. It stood as tall as a skyscraper. It had wings of fire, claws like swords. Every time it roared, a shockwave ripped through buildings, and that's where Subject 3 landed. He hit the ground hard, making a crater. The Titan looked down at him, confused. This human was alone. Subject 3 looked up. His red eyes narrowed. "You're big," he said. "Good. I like a challenge." Then he moved. The Titan swung first. A claw the size of a bus came down. Subject 3 dodged with ease. He jumped onto the beast's arm and ran up it, fast, smooth, without fear. He punched the Titan in the face, once, twice. The ground shook from the impact. From miles away, Ashen and Lyra, 2 other enhanced soldiers, watched the fight. "Is that Subject 3? Lyra asked. Ashen nodded. "It has to be." "He's insane." Ashen didn't smile. "That's why they locked him up." The Titan roared again and tried to grab Subject 3, but the human leaped backward, landing on a nearby building. He cracked his neck. "You're strong," he said, "but I'm something else." The building under him collapsed, but he was already moving again, running, leaping, smashing into the Titan's chest. More soldiers and drones filmed the battle. The world watched in silence. People everywhere held their breath. The alien beasts were terrifying. But the thing humanity had unleashed, it was worse, because it didn't just fight, it enjoyed the fight. In space, the alien commanders watched their screens. One leaned forward. "What is that?" "Not a soldier," another said. "Not a machine." The leader's eyes narrowed. "It's a monster." Down on Earth, Subject 3 punched through the Titan's armor. Blood sprayed. The beast screamed. He didn't stop. He couldn't stop. Ashen looked at Lyra. "He's not fighting to protect us." "No," Lyra said. "He's fighting because he loves it." The Titan fell backward, crashing through 6 city blocks. Subject 3 stood on its chest, breathing hard. He raised a fist and smiled. Ashen stood in the ruins of what was once Atlanta. Smoke curled through the broken streets. Cars were crushed, buildings half collapsed, and silence hung heavy over the land. Somewhere out there, a war beast moved. Ashen could feel it. Not with his eyes or ears, but with something deeper. A sense. A pull. He didn't wear armor. He didn't carry weapons. He didn't need them. He crouched beside a cracked wall and touched the ground. It was still warm. That meant the beast had passed here not long ago. He could smell its stench in the air, metal, ash, and something rotten. He smiled to himself. Close. Behind him, a small team watched from a distance. Drones floated, in the air, trying to track the enemy, but they were useless. The beast didn't follow rules. They moved like predators, not soldiers. One of the soldiers whispered into the radio. "Command, the subject is engaging the target. I repeat, he is hunting." Ashen moved through the ruins like a shadow. Quiet, fast, focused. The cities. Broken towers became his jungle. Crumbled walls became cover. He leapt over a bus like it was a rock. He had trained for this his whole life, even if no one had planned it. Then he stopped. The war beast stood in the center of an empty square. It was bigger than the last one, taller than a building, 4 glowing eyes. Its body looked like a tank fused with a wolf, heavy, fast, and brutal. Its tail dragged behind, leaving long scars in the concrete. Ashen didn't hide. He stepped out, into the open. The beast saw him. It paused. Humans usually ran, screamed, fired useless guns. Ashen didn't. He raised his hand slowly, then gave the beast a small wave. "Hey!" The war beast roared and charged. Ashen didn't move until the last second. Then he ran, not away, but toward it. The clash was fast and loud. The beast's claws tore into the ground, missing him by inches. Ashen rolled under its belly and slammed his elbow into its leg joint. A crunch. The beast stumbled. It was fast. But Ashen was faster. He climbed up its back as it twisted, slashing at him with glowing blades. He dodged, grabbed a pipe from the ground, and jammed it deep into the beast's eye socket. Sparks flew. The beast screamed and thrashed, slamming into buildings. One collapsed on top of them both. For a few seconds, there was silence. The soldiers watching held their breath. The drones hovered, scanning. Then the rubble shifted. A hand punched through. Ashen pulled himself out of the dust. His face was bleeding. His arm was bent wrong. But he smiled. Behind him, the war beast tried to rise. Broken, blind in one eye, leaking black smoke. Ashen turned. "Round 2?" The beast swung wildly, but Ashen dodged again and again. He climbed up its arm and jammed something into its neck, a piece of its own tech he had ripped from its side earlier. A sharp spike. Then he jumped off, rolled, and shouted, "Boom!" The device sparked, and the beast's chest exploded from the inside. It dropped. Dead. The square fell silent once more. Ashen stood still, breathing heavily. His clothes were torn. Blood ran down his face, but his eyes were calm. He looked at the camera drone above. "Tell them," he said. "They can. Bleed." Back at command, Sarah Lean watched the feed. She had tears in her eyes, but she smiled. For the first time since the invasion, hope returned. Far above Earth, on a massive alien ship hidden in the clouds, the leaders of the invasion watched as well. They didn't speak for several moments. Then the commander turned to the others. "That was no soldier," he said. "No," another answered. "That was something they kept hidden." "Send more beasts." "How many?" "All of them." On Earth, Ashen looked to the sky. The clouds above began to shift again. More fire, more roars. He cracked his neck. "Good," he whispered. The hunt was far from over. Ashen stood in the middle of a ruined street, surrounded by silence and smoke. His battle with the first war beast had shaken the city, but now something else was bothering him. A feeling he hadn't felt in years. Something cold, something dangerous. He turned his head slowly and looked at the horizon. "She's awake," he whispered. Far away, deep in an old underground base in Siberia, alarms were ringing. Dust fell from the ceiling. Doors that had been locked for decades began to slide open. Inside those dark halls were old cages, steel walls, thick doors, red lights. Each cage had once held something, but now only one cage remained sealed. Sarah Lean watched the screens. Her hands trembled slightly. "Is this real?" she asked. "Is she really still alive?" An old man behind her, General Reese, nodded, slowly. "We couldn't kill her," he said. "We tried everything. Fire, ice, poison, but she always came back." Sarah stared at the name on the screen. Subject number 2, Lyra. "She's more dangerous than Ashen," the general said. "Less control, more anger." "But she was human once, right?" Sarah asked. "No," Reese said coldly. "Not for long." Years ago, during Project Blacktooth, Lyra was the second success. She was smarter than Ashen, faster, but unstable. She refused orders. She laughed in battle. Once she killed an entire enemy squad just because they had looked at her wrong. The project locked her away before she could cause more damage. Now, that lock was failing. Back in the ruined city, Ashen walked toward a broken church. He stepped inside slowly, his boots crunching on shattered glass. The air was still, but he could feel her. A soft voice echoed from the shadows. "Hello, brother." Ashen didn't smile. "Lyra." She stepped out of the darkness. She looked human, but her eyes glowed with strange energy. Her hair was silver now and her movements were too smooth, like a predator ready to strike. She wore no armor. She didn't need it. "You're late," she said. "I didn't ask for your help." She smirked. "Didn't need to. I felt the beasts. Felt you wake up. Thought it would be fun to join." Ashen narrowed his eyes. "This isn't a game. For you, maybe," Lyra said, spinning in a slow circle. "For me, it's the best game ever. Monsters falling from the sky, people screaming, chaos everywhere." She looked at him and grinned. "Feels like home." Ashen walked past her. "Stay out of my way." "But we work better together," she purred. "You hit them hard. I make them suffer." He stopped. "You haven't changed," she laughed. "Neither have you." Suddenly, the ground shook. Both of them turned. A massive roar echoed across the city. 3 war beasts had arrived. They walked together, huge, armored, and angry. Their eyes glowed, brighter than before. They had learned from the last fight. These ones didn't charge blindly. They spread out, forming a trap. Ashen cracked his knuckles. 3. Lyra tilted her head. "I get 2. "No," he said. "You get 1. Don't. Go wild." But it was too late. Lyra sprinted forward faster than human eyes could follow. She leapt into the air, landed on the back of the first beast, and tore into it with her bare hands. Blood and sparks flew. Ashen sighed and ran toward the second. From a safe distance, soldiers and drones watched the fight unfold. It was chaos. Beasts roared. Ashen and Lyra moved like ghosts, striking with brutal speed. Buildings fell. The sky turned black from smoke. One beast managed to grab Lyra and threw her through a skyscraper. She vanished into the rubble. The other 2 beasts turned toward Ashen. He smiled. Then Lyra returned, laughing, covered in dust and blood. She jumped on the back of the 3rd beast and ripped out its spine. In minutes, all 3 beasts were dead. The city was broken again, but the humans had won. Ashen walked through the ruins toward where Lyra was sitting on a pile of rubble. "You went too far," he said. She looked at him, eyes glowing. "You're welcome. I told you not to come. And yet here I am." Ashen turned away. "There are more coming." Lyra stood. Good. I'm just getting started. In the sky, far above Earth, the alien commanders stared at the battle. Footage. These are not ordinary humans, one said. No, the commander replied. They are something else, something worse. Should we retreat? No, the commander said darkly. Release the Titan. On Earth, Ashen felt a deep vibration under his feet. He looked up at the sky. The clouds were glowing again, but this time, the shadow falling toward Earth was larger than anything before. The clouds above Earth opened like a wound in the sky. People from every part of the planet looked up. What they saw made their hearts freeze. It was not fire. It was not just another beast. It was something far bigger. So big, it blocked out the sun. The Titan had arrived. From orbit, the alien commanders watched in silence. One spoke slowly, with fear in his voice. They made us release it. The Titan was not like the other war beasts. It didn't run or roar. It didn't need to. It floated down like a mountain with wings, carried by strange gravity. Its skin was covered in symbols that twisted and moved. Its eyes were dark, but they burned with power. Ashen stood in the ruins of Chicago. He looked up, his body tense. Lyra stood beside him, her grin now gone. That's not a beast, she whispered. That's a world killer. Ashen didn't respond. He was remembering something buried deep in his mind, a file he had seen long ago. Project Blacktooth had once studied something similar, not just to fight it, but to copy it. They had failed. Now the real thing had come. When the Titan touched the ground, it didn't land. It melted through the streets. The earth screamed, trees wilted, air turned heavy. People hiding in bunkers, hundreds of miles away, felt it. It wasn't just a creature. It was a walking weapon, a living black hole of energy and death. Ashen looked at Lyra. You need to go. She shook her head. I don't run. This isn't about running, he said. We can't fight it the way we fought the others. She stared at the Titan, then nodded. Fine. What's the plan? I don't have one yet, Ashen said, his voice calm but sharp. But I know someone who might. Far underground, Sarah Lean listened as the reports came in. The Titan had landed. The beasts before were just scouts. This was the real invasion. She turned to General Reese. You said there was one more subject. Reese went pale. No, not him. We need him. He's not like the others. Ashen is a weapon. Lyra is a killer. But Subject 3? He was a mistake. He doesn't follow orders. He doesn't care who wins. Sarah stepped closer. Where is he? Reese sighed. Buried, deep under Nevada. We were never supposed to wake him. Back in the city, Ashen watched as the Titan raised one arm. The sky bent around it. A giant ball of dark energy formed above its hand. It wasn't throwing it yet. It was charging, slowly. But once released, it could level half the planet. We don't have time, Ashen said. Suddenly, Lyra touched her ear. She had stolen a comm from one of the fallen soldiers. Sarah, she said. You still listening? Sarah's voice came through, shaky but clear. Yes, I am. We need Subject 3. There was a pause. Then, he's being moved. You'll get backup. Ashen turned. No backup will reach us. In time. Lyra smiled slightly. Guess it's just us again. They ran toward the Titan together. It saw them. It didn't move. It didn't need to. As Ashen and Lyra reached the edge of the dead zone around the Titan, their strength started to drop. Their skin burned. Time felt slower. The Titan was bending reality around itself. Ashen forced his legs to keep moving. Then, the Titan's energy blast was ready. It raised its hand higher, preparing to fire. Suddenly, everything stopped. A shockwave rolled through the city. Dust froze in the air. The ground cracked. A voice, deep, broken, ancient, rumbled across the world. Who? Woke me! Far away, in the Nevada desert, a vault door had just exploded outward. Something stepped into the light. Subject 3. He didn't look like Ashen or Lyra. He was bigger. His eyes glowed red. His skin was covered in scars, some from weapons, some from experiments. He looked less like a man and more like a god of war. He spoke one word. Titan. And then he began to run. Back at the Titan, Ashen and Lyra both turned as they felt something behind them. A wave of force. A presence they hadn't felt in years. Ashen looked up at the Titan. "You're not the only monster," he said. From the horizon, Subject 3 jumped high into the air, higher than any human ever could, straight toward the Titan. The battle wasn't over. It was just beginning. Subject 3 flew through the sky like a missile. The air cracked around him. Below, buildings shook, trees bent. Even the clouds seemed to split. The Titan turned its massive head, slow and calm. It saw him. It opened its hand, preparing to release the giant ball of energy that could end everything. But Subject 3 reached it first. He slammed into the Titan's chest with the force of a meteor. The energy ball exploded in the air. Harmless. The Titan staggered back, roaring for the first time. Its voice was like a storm breaking mountains. Ashen and Lyra jumped back, watching in shock. They had seen many weapons. They had been called monsters. But Subject 3, he was something else. He didn't fight with style. He didn't dodge. He hit and kept hitting. His fists glowed red. Every punch shook the ground. The Titan swung its arm, but he blocked it. The blast of impact leveled 3 city blocks. Ashen spoke without looking away. "He's not human anymore." "No," Lyra said. "He's worse. He likes it." Subject 3 grabbed the Titan's arm and twisted it with a scream of metal and bone. The Titan fell, crashing through buildings. Its huge legs kicked out, but Subject 3 jumped on top of it, smashing its face again and again. The Titan tried to roar. Subject 3 grabbed its jaw and snapped it shut. All around them, the air turned red with heat. Pieces of the city were burning. Nothing survived near the battle. Sarah Lean watched through a drone camera from a secure bunker. Her face was pale. General Reese stood beside her, arms crossed. "We never should have made him," Sarah said. Reese nodded. "We didn't. He made himself." Back at the battlefield, the Titan's body started to change. Its skin split. From inside, black wings burst out. It screamed, not in pain, but in rage. It flew upward, into the sky, pulling Subject 3 with it. The two monsters rose high above the earth, trading blows mid-air. Lightning flashed around them. Lyra's voice was quiet. "He won't stop." Ashen looked at her. "That's the problem." "What do you mean?" "If he kills the Titan, who kills him?" There was silence. Ashen and Lyra had been weapons, yes, but they had limits. Subject 3 had none. No mercy, no fear, no control. The Titan crashed back to the ground, its wings broken. Subject 3 stood above it, panting, blood dripping from his fists. He raised his arms to finish it. Ashen stepped forward. "Stop." Subject 3 turned. His red eyes burned brighter. Ashen stood tall. "It's done. We win." But Subject 3 didn't smile. He didn't speak. He stepped off the Titan and walked toward Ashen. Lyra moved beside Ashen. "He's not done fighting." Ashen nodded. "He never is." Subject 3 stopped a few feet away. His voice was low, like grinding stone. "You let them lock me away," Ashen replied, calm. "You were dangerous. I was perfect. You were lost." Subject 3's body tensed. "I could have ended this war before it began." Ashen stared at him. "By ending us with it?" The ground shook again. The Titan was trying to stand. It was broken, but not dead. Subject 3 turned and punched it once more, sending it back into the earth. But he didn't finish it. He looked at Ashen. I'll leave it alive, for now. Why? Ashen asked. So you remember, Subject 3 said, that it took a monster to stop a monster. Then, without another word, he leapt into the sky and vanished. Lyra blinked. Did he just let it live? Ashen looked at the fallen Titan. He's sending a message. To us? To everyone. High above the earth, the alien commanders watched in silence. The Titan had failed. Worse, it had been humiliated. One commander turned. Should we send another? No, said the leader. There are monsters on that planet, and now they know we're afraid. On Earth, Sarah sat in her chair, breathing slowly. We need to find Subject 3. Reese shook his head. You don't find him, he finds you. Ashen and Lyra walked through the ruins, quiet. Do you think he'll come back? Lyra asked. Ashen nodded. Not if we're lucky. Above them, the sky was calm again. But they all knew. This peace wouldn't last. The city was still smoking, fires had died out, and the skies had cleared, but the air felt heavy. Everyone knew this wasn't over. The Titan's broken body lay deep in the crater, half buried in steel and stone. It wasn't moving anymore. But no one dared to go near it, not even Ashen. He stood on a rooftop staring at the wreckage. Lyra joined him, her face bruised, her armor cracked. Well? She asked. Is it dead? Ashen shook his head slowly. No, just sleeping. And Subject 3? Gone. Like a ghost. Lyra looked at the horizon. You think he'll come back? Ashen didn't answer. Instead, he looked up at the stars. The quiet made her uneasy. In the alien warship far, above Earth, the Council of Commanders gathered again. What they had seen frightened even them. The Titan was their final weapon, the strongest war beast in the galaxy. And Earth had survived it. One commander, his skin a shade of blue steel, whispered, "What have we awakened?" Another replied, "Not just warriors, monsters of their own." They voted, in silence, and the decision was made. Retreat. Earth was no longer a target. It was a warning. Back on the ground, the world was watching. Every screen on Earth showed the moment the alien fleet turned away and jumped to light speed. Billions of people cheered, cried, and hugged strangers. They had survived, but not because of their armies, because of what humanity had become when pushed too far. Sarah Lean stood in front of a camera, her hair tied back, her eyes tired but proud. We were attacked, she said. They sent monsters to end us. But they didn't know what we had tamed, what we had created, what we had become. She paused, then added, The war beasts are gone. But now we must ask, what about the ones we created? Underground, in a secret vault, Subject 3's old chamber was empty. The walls were still scorched. The metal door twisted like paper. No alarms rang. No guards stood nearby. Everyone knew. Locks couldn't hold him anymore. Ashen and Lyra walked through the ruins of the city. People were beginning to return. Children peeked from hiding spots. Soldiers cleared debris. Drones flew overhead, scanning for danger. Feels strange, Lyra said. What does? To win. Ashen nodded. It doesn't feel like victory. It's not, she replied. It's survival. A young boy ran up to them. He was dirty, but smiling. He looked up at Lyra. Are you the ones who fought the monsters? Lyra looked at Ashen, then back at the boy. She knelt down. No, she said. We are the monsters, but we fight for Earth. The boy stared, wide-eyed, then ran off, laughing. Ashen sighed. He's going to tell that story for the rest of his life. Good, Lyra said. Let them remember. Let the galaxy remember. That night across Earth, people lit fires, not in fear, but in honor. They told stories about the war beasts, the Titan, and the human monsters who saved the planet. But in the dark places, in deep space, whispers spread. Rumors of a red-eyed warrior, a human who fought like a god, a creature not bound by laws or fear or peace. Subject 3. And somewhere, far from Earth, he listened. He sat on a rock on a dead moon, staring into the stars. No one knew how he got there. No one dared follow. He didn't smile. He didn't sleep, but he remembered. Their fear, their screams, their power, and how he was more than all of them. Not a hero, not a soldier, just a weapon. Waiting. A soft sound broke the silence. A small device blinked near his foot. A message from Earth. He picked it up. Ashen's voice came through. If you ever come home, let's not fight. Come back as a man, not a monster. Subject 3 crushed the device slowly, but he didn't throw it away. He looked at the Earth, tiny in the distance, and for the first time in a long while, he whispered something to himself. Maybe. The galaxy would remember the day they sent beasts to destroy Earth, and the humans who tamed something far worse. This was not the end. It was the beginning of fear, of respect, of legends. Because now the universe knew. You don't threaten Earth unless you're ready to face what Earth hides.